Hi there, I'm Sabrina Adsit, and welcome back to another one-on-one session with your EAP mentors. Today we're speaking with Dave Smith, Executive Director of the Entrepreneurial Accelerator Program here in North Louisiana. And we're talking about investment and what that looks like in this time right now of coronavirus. So Dave, hi, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do for the Entrepreneurial Accelerator Program.
Thank you, Sabrina. I'm David Smith. I'm the Executive Director of the Entrepreneurial Accelerator Program, a division of the BRF in Shreveport, Louisiana. And I lead a team of highly qualified financial and business analysts that help startups in North Louisiana build all those products and all the things you got to do to launch a business in North Louisiana.
And as the executive director of the Entrepreneurial Accelerator Program, you work one-on-one with these investors of all types. And so you're right. Yeah. You're walking with them through this entire coronavirus situation. Can you tell us a little bit about how coronavirus has changed the way investors are looking at businesses that they want to invest in?
Absolutely. Yeah, this has caused a lot of change in the angel investing community pretty much across the country. The first thing that a lot of investors are looking at right now is, so what's the resiliency of this technology, okay, and this company? Can they stand the test of working remote? Will their business model and their financial model work under these conditions as we move back to what the new normal is going to be? So they're asking that resiliency question. They're asking a lot of hard questions on, before they always ask us, at what point do you get key person insurance? Well, now one of the questions is, do you have business interruption insurance? Thought I'd never, dig that deep down into that question, but now we're actually discussing those insurance policies that would impact the business.
Is there any way that businesses can prepare for something like this?
Really, the answer is no, because you got to put every dollar that you get starting out right back into the business. But you're also buying key person insurance, and part of a lot of those policies are business disruption, okay? And knowing the definition of that and specifically what that policy says and what it will and won't cover becomes very important, because, we say you call your agent's not going to know what that means, okay? Or maybe they will, maybe they won't, okay? But then you call the attorney and say, what does that mean? You got to know going in. And entrepreneurs are getting asked that question right off the bat now. Before, never would have asked that question, but you're getting that. And really, we've moved to, like everybody else, we've moved to online platforms. We're doing investment meetings, we're doing due diligence meetings on online platforms. So being able to do that is very important.
Right. Well, investors aren't only looking at just how resilient you are, but how well you can pivot that business model of yours to continue being profitable through a time of crisis, like right now. Can you give us a few examples of how investors are looking more into that, or what exactly you need to prove to investors to show that you can continue being profitable through
right.
It might be a loaded question, but
great question. And investors are looking at that. And some of the things they're looking at is, okay, if you're in the food service industry, or you're in a service and you're providing it, they're asking, well, how do you work under these conditions? Or how do you change that model? What protective measures can you put into place for your employees? We've always gone into the discussion in due diligence of what's the operating procedures, what procedures do you have in place? Okay, what does your employee contract looks like? But now we're going one step further and we're going, okay, What protection do we have to give the employees during this time period? How do we do that? How do we train them? Okay. Thought I'd never be having that discussion, but we are. And how the entrepreneur can adapt to those changes is very important. All right. So can you change quickly? Can you go, okay, I can do curbside. It's not in my current model, but I can do curbside relatively quickly. I'd love to have this wonderful hard printed menu, but I'm really doing better if I do the menu online. So you're starting to transition to that online type presence, and how well you adapt to those changes is very important. What you don't want to do is the first time you run into a little bit of trouble, challenge, you throw your hands up and you go, oh, it's too hard, I can't do this. Okay. That's what investors don't want to see. All right. They don't want to do that. And they want you to wait until it's too late to ask for help. I've seen a lot of very successful entrepreneurs come back to their investors and lay it out. And you know what? In a lot of cases, they've been there before and they're just throwing ideas at the entrepreneurs. Well, I think you ought to do this. And I know somebody that did this, and I know somebody. And that's what you're really trying to get for. You're trying to get investors that are really part of the solution, and they start throwing the solutions right at you. And you know you got great investors when one of them says, well, I know somebody that's done it. Let me call him and connect you with him. When you got an investor that starts doing that, you got the right group around you.
Right. Well, it's been really incredible to watch just in our community how well businesses have shifted their business model. I mean, even some of the portfolio companies, you've got an oil and gas company that had materials to make hand sanitizer, so they started throwing out hand sanitizer. There are quite a few stories like that, and I bet that makes your investors very happy.
Yes.
But has this whole crisis changed the speed that investors are investing in companies? I mean, you're constantly working with businesses to get investment. And whenever this hit and the shelter in place rule was passed, how did that affect investment? Did investors go, whoa, hold on, I don't know that I really want to throw my money into this quite yet? Or are they just, throwing money out there looking for all types of businesses?
Well,
talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think the speed has not really slowed down, because during this time period, we've done 2 follow-on investments in our portfolio companies. All right. So it hasn't really slowed down for the existing companies that are out there. But for new startups that are first coming into EAP, it's kind of added a couple of extra steps. And with technology, there's been a lot more involvement. I mean, just like this Zoom meeting you and I are in, it's not uncommon now for the due diligence team to have a Zoom meeting, one of the entrepreneurs, and dig deep into the offering and the technology and say, okay, great, give me a demo right now. Show me how this works. So it's added a couple of steps, which probably add a little bit of time, but really and truly, investors are gaining a much greater knowledge of the technology and understanding of what it is the entrepreneur is offering. That before, we might have had maybe one in-person demonstration. Well, now we're having multiple demonstrations to investors. So it's, in our view, it's a great thing, because we start building that relationship between the entrepreneur and the investor.
Right. Yeah. The Zoom and the GoToMeeting technology has been wonderful, especially through all of this. That kind of helps us jump into talking a little bit about the barriers that you're, starting to see now that didn't exist before, in terms of funding and dealing with investors. Time with investors, whenever you're an entrepreneur going into a room to pitch your company, your time is limited. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that online conversation kind of looks like, what they're looking at. They must be judging you on how savvy you are technology wise.
Investors are really watching, closely how savvy you are in Zoom, GoToMeetings, and your online presence. Because what we've seen is we've got online investment meetings and we've got online Zoom due diligence meetings. And where before we had a very small group, getting demos, now we've got a large group getting demos, and they're asking hard technical questions. And what they want to see is your team do a technical demo, and then they want to see you share your screen. They want to see you transition it to another member of the team, then back to you. So you're getting graded like always in everything you do, but now there's a whole new dimension of that. And if you're not really savvy, that becomes a real barrier. And remember, you only get one opportunity to make that first impression, and you want to show them that, hey, I got it.
Yeah, the beautiful thing about online tools like Zoom and GoToMeetings is you can get on and practice with yourself or your teammates and figure it out. So practice, practice, practice. That's key. And quarantine has just thrown in another thing for you to know how to do during a session. What one piece of advice would you give the entrepreneurs that are watching this through this coronavirus situation?
Just because we're in the COVID-19 crisis does not mean you should abandon your idea. All right, it may take you a little bit longer, and you might need to think through some critical steps. Don't give up on your idea. So keep pushing, keep developing your idea. Come to EAP. If you got a question, come to eapla.com. It's real easy. Just go there. There's only 4 or 5 questions. We're the only one that sees it. Ask us. We'll be happy to help you. Just hang in there and keep going. That's all you can do.
Right. You guys are keeping normal office hours, and you're picking up on more GoToMeetings, and you're very attentive.
Absolutely. All of our phones, we have the office there at Intertech One. All of our phones are forwarded to our cell phone. We're keeping regular office hours. And we're also, like always, if you call us and say, hey, I really can't be there until 6 p.m., that's fine and great too. We'll work around your schedule.
And we all know the best part about being a part of the EAP team as an entrepreneur is getting to sit on that big blue couch. So hopefully we get to do that soon.
Absolutely. Yes. We want everybody back in there, sitting on the big blue couch, telling us all about your idea.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for your time, Dave. I appreciate it. And we will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Sabrina.